Now 6:15. Everybody could please rise for the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. If everybody could please remain standing, I'd like to call a moment of silence for Paul Rick Lovelace Jr. and John D. Boyd. Thank you. Sue, could you please proceed with roll call?
Councilperson Laura Burrell,
Here.
Councilman Mack,
Here.
Supervisor Pizzolatto,
Here.
Councilman Nicky Marino,
Present.
and Attorney for the town. I'm not gonna say that.
All right, so taking into account, we just closed our public hearing. I'm gonna go into the board budget first, since we closed. Okay. So, taking into account, we closed our public hearing, barring, no more, public comment. Do I have a motion to approve preliminary budget number 2?
I'll make that motion.
Do I have a second? I'll second. All in favor?
Aye.
Sue, can you please proceed with roll call?
Councilperson Burrell,
Yes.
Councilman Mack,
No.
Supervisor Pizzolatto,
Aye.
Councilman Nicky Marino.
Aye. Sue? Do you want to proceed with correspondence?
I did,
Okay.
right before.
Got it.
Okay, Newland Fire Department. October 2024. Emergency calls 13, drill 12, meeting trainings 8, miscellaneous 34. 67. Hours, personal hours was 1,055.46 just for the month of October. I also have from the Newland Fire Department, they had their installation dinner on November 9th. Chief Timothy Schott, first assistant Timothy Ozek, second assistant Keith Blount, Captain Joseph Haas, first lieutenant Evan Vidchak, second lieutenant Dan Giglio Senior, Captain Fire Police Nancy Holfaker, President Jeffrey Haas, Vice President Anthony LaRufa, Secretary Linda Anderson, Treasurer Donald Jeff Haas, Trustee Michael Oset. Highland Lake Fire.
Phil, thank you for your service, and Timothy Oset, congratulations.
Yes, thank you. Highland Lake Fire Department. Calls for the month of October, 74.25 hours, drills, 58 hours, work nights, 26 hours. Training classes 0, total of 158.25. October calls for the Highland Ambulance. October calls, 33 calls, 2 standbys, 3 mutual aid calls, 1 meeting, 3 drills, for a total of 195 man hours at 100% response to calls in and out of town. I just want to, heat is in with Sullivan County, Home Energy Assistance Program, season has kicked off. They would like everybody to I'll read it. Heat's regular component offering a one-time payment to help buy fuel to a heat a home begins Friday, November 1st. Notes Sullivan County Deputy Social Services Commissioner, Giselle. Thank you. Yeah, but the heating equipment repair and replacement, which is HERR, and the heating equipment clean and tune, CNT components have already begun. They provide funding to have trained professionals inspect, service, and replace furnaces, boilers, stoves, and other heating equipment. You have one on.
Yes,
there.
yep, and all.
Okay. Okay. United States Department of Interior. I just received this today. Thank you for your transmittal of September 9th, 2024, recommending the site plan review application to the town of Highland for the proposed Cape project located in Highland Township, New York, to be found in substantial conformance by the National Park Service Interior Region 1 Regional Director. The proposed project consists of a public green space with pedestrian-only access on the western corner of River Road for passive recreation and a pedestrian walkway and associated parking beginning at Eagle Observation Area number 2 and extending 2,100 feet along State Route 97.
We'll give some more details on those projects, because there's a couple corrections in there as well.
Late this afternoon, I also received a correspondence from the Delaware Riverkeeper Network, ages the town of Highland Town Board to act quickly on a petition dated October 8th, 2024, titled petition to adopt a moratorium on any new development in the Upper Delaware Scenic and Recreational River Corridor portion of the town of Highland to allow for needed comprehensive planning and zoning reforms. That requests a moratorium on all development in the scenic and recreational river corridor. We urge you to immediately invite public comment on the petition and plan to take official action to grant the petition no later than at your January meeting. Proposals are advancing in the town of Highland that if the moratorium is not enacted, we will have an irreparable and harmful impact for the town. The corridor and the ongoing 10-year comprehensive planning process currently under development. Notably, the town of Highland is currently undertaking an update to its 10-year comprehensive plan. This month's long process is incredibly important in identifying and upholding the vision that residents have for the future of their community and will likely require changes to the town's current zoning code in order to reflect and enforce these values. The update is a time for the town to envision and define its rural character, positive economic development, its values for environmental and river corridor protection, and its future legal and policy framework. This is a 6 or 7 page document. If anybody would like to have access to it, you could come into my office to see what they are asking.
And I believe we have a member of the Riverkeeper here, correct?
No?
Yes, is there anybody here from the Delaware River Keeper? Sue, thank you for the correspondence.
Excuse me, will
I
that
did-
be posted on the website as well? That document?
Could the document from the Delaware River Keeper be posted on their website? Yeah,
Yes.
yes, we can. We can definitely do that. We can put up a PDF link to the full letter, correct?
Yeah, if you want to include correspondence, you can do it just as the planning board does. They have, right under the meeting minutes, they have a link for correspondence for the meetings and they just,
Just because,
yeah,
yeah.
Okay.
You'll walk me through that, put that whole thing.
no problem.
Just for the public's information, on November 14th from 11 to 1 p.m. here in Town Hall. The Office for the Aging is going to give a presentation on further information on the youth program, as well as SNAP and other senior food programs, insurance via the New York Exchange and all other applications pertaining to aimed and targeted at seniors, resources available. If there's any neighbor or any member of the public you would like to invite, again, they'll be here from 11 to 1 p.m. It's a really wonderful program. It kind of lets everybody know what from the county level and the state level, what's available to everybody. And they're really wonderful in carrying office. So if you want to bring your neighbors or let people know about it, we encourage you.
It's been very well advertised.
Yeah. Yes. At this time, are there any public comments on the agenda?
On the agenda, I never seen
Public comments on the agenda?
any zoning or public or planning board. And because we're going to go into litigation for our executive session. What's going on with 211, what's going on with FIMFO?
I believe there's a buildings report that's been prepared with buildings and codes, so like we'll go over that when we get to that department and.
That ain't the Department of the Zoning
No.
and Planning, no.
Like the buildings wouldn't report on planning board projects.
John, that's not, we don't report for 211 or FinCom.
That-
That's planning.
We have this planning board meeting, but we will get to the buildings and codes on line F, further on the agenda, but is there any member of the public that would like to comment on the agenda? Okay, I need to just try to be as brief as possible, but in terms of accounting, there was just a couple inaccuracies from the last meeting. We are not in the process, nor did the 2023 town board call for an audit. This is also for Arias. The town board secured an agreed upon procedure resolution from December 12, 2023, verifying hourly rates, approved timesheets, and payroll procedures. So it was misrepresented to the public that there was a town board audit going on, or there was an audit of the full town board budgets, which is not the case. It was again agreed upon procedure. And if anybody would like to visit the clerk's office and ask for that resolution, it was made on December 12th, 2023. Just a little update on our grants. So the Park Service did come and review what's known as the green space. So back in 2021, I basically took a bunch of projects that were going all along the river corridor and presented it to the town. We applied for the Silver Feather, or we actually applied for whatever municipal grants were available from Sullivan Renaissance at the time, which has now become Sullivan 180. We were awarded the Silver Feather Award, and it's come due towards the end of this year. We've made really great progress on the river accesses project. So just to refresh the public's memory, the cul-de-sac and the mural project was a dream and hope of Doreen Warner, who finally got to actualize that in 2022. If you're following the river access from east to west, the river access green space at the west end of River Road that was called the Cape Project was actually part of the river access project. That was completed, the clearing and the negotiations to change the dike so that the public could access it again was completed back in October. And then further on down the line, Eagle Observation 2, we put new product and crusher run down. And there will be additional vista clearings there. We also contributed to the Highland Access Site, which was a project by the by the Sullivan County Planning Commission. We contributed signage and bike racks and canoe racks there. At Eagle Observation 2, we removed the view shed, which was determined to no longer be necessary. We have a very buoyant eagle population, so instead we blacktopped for handicap access there, removed the view shed, and then we completed a connector trail that goes from where the view shed used to be all the way to the towpath, the historic towpath. And that's actually the Cape project right there. And there will be benches installed there along the way, but if you guys haven't checked it out yet, it's a half-mile stretch from Eagle Observation 2 all the way to the Roebling Bridge, connects to the towpath. Which is, right along in back of the Roebling Bridge. It's a really exciting project. I hope that everybody gets the opportunity to enjoy it. Tomorrow, they're gonna be installing, or tomorrow and Thursday and Friday, if we don't get a freeze, they'll be installing all the interpretive signs all along these projects. And we will also be getting an interpretive sign at Town Hall so that people can get a key or a guide to where they can enter the river and what activities are allowed in each space. So we're really grateful to Sullivan Renaissance or Sullivan 180 and the Gary Foundation for making it possible. And largely in part to the Highland Highway Department, we were able to acquire a lot of in-kind services that made the project possible. So they'd like to give them a shout out. And they are also kind of our unofficial parks department now that we have Borneo River access sites. So you see a highway guy, give them a pat on the back and thank them for all of our recreation areas. We're really excited about it. I also wanted to give an update on the other grants that we have going on. Our SAM grant, we passed the budget into the Ways and the Department of Ways and Measures with the state. We've submitted our other budget that we're working with internally. It sounds like we're going to have two architects bidding on the courthouse restoration. Again, it's a $250,000 grant that we received from the Haley Dunbar's office. It's called the SAM grant. And we will be making historic preservations to the courthouse to benefit our court clerk back here, Patty, keep her working. She's been with us for 19 years. So thank you, Patty, for dealing with the state of affairs at current, and I promise it's going to get better. We also have some contractors bidding on the heat and AC pumps. And I believe we'll be able to review those bids at the December meeting after they get a tour of the town hall.
I plan on scheduling a meeting with you the next week or so. I have 4 contractors who will provide bids.
Great.
Yes.
4 in total. I do want to make an announcement because there was some confusion in one of our public buildings about service dogs. I just wanted to give the state's determination on this. So service animals are dogs that are trained to do work or perform tasks for people with disabilities. Examples of tasks that can be performed by service dogs are guiding people who are blind, alerting people with seizure disorders, and pulling a wheelchair. Pertaining to licensing and certification, there are no other licenses or permits required for service dogs. The American with Disabilities Act or the ADA does not require state or local certification for service dogs, nor do they issue specific permits or tags or proof that a dog is a service dog. By law, businesses open to the public must allow service animals to allow people with disabilities in all areas where the public can go. This is regardless of whether the dog is wearing a service tag or not. Businesses can ask if a dog is a service dog and what tasks the dog performs. They cannot ask for any proof of the disability or the service animal certification. So just let it be known that if any outside agency or any outside group is renting one of our public spaces, that service dogs are allowed. And according to New York State law, service dogs are allowed wherever the public is allowed, where we are open to the public. So please be mindful of that. And if you witness anything, there is a complaint site that we can put up on the website following the meeting for any complaints related to any discrimination or harassment pertaining to service animals. I think pretty much it for my reports. For the hauler permits, it's just being in for renewal. You wanna go and read it?
I didn't read the whole thing, it's. It's what we do every year for the hauler permit for solid waste from Sullivan County. For the hauler license commercial, I just need a resolution that we can fill it out and Supervisor Pittsburgh can sign.
Or do I-
It's, yeah, you have to sign it from,
For sure,
I'll make
yeah.
sure that you do.
So I do have a motion to fill out and authorize the hauler MOU with the county.
Make that motion.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? The abstentions, so moved. See. Just an announcement to the public, we will be going back to taxlookup.net, thank God for the public. It's been a big waste of money on behalf of the county, they tried out a program called Auto, the program that they were working with was called Auto Agent.
No,
The new program.
Can I speak?
Sure, yeah,
Okay, sorry, I don't mean to overstep you.
no, go ahead.
We had Systems East last
Systems
year,
East was the new one,
and it was a disaster for a lot of us.
and a big waste of money.
Tax collectors. There are still tax collectors, 3 of them, that are still trying to fix what they had from last year. So we're going back to ATC, you'll be able to look up your tax bills on taxlookup.net. You'll be able to use, which was Municipay, which is now Auto Agent, to pay online. E-checks are $1.50. And it's $2.65% of your bill that you could pay at one time. So that's what I need, to have a motion to go back to ATC. Same people that we've worked with all these years, and to go back to, Municipay Auto Agent. And it's always worked out very well.
So do I have a motion to revert back to ATC and Auto Agent, which is the new tax payment system name in name only? Do I have that motion?
I'll make that motion.
Do I have a second?
I'll second that motion.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? The abstentions,
Same for auto.
so moved. It was a 2-part
Okay.
motion. Okay, youth and parks development, I did a, bless you, on bless you.
Bless you.
I'm sorry, I'm a 7.
On November 5th, I took a 3-hour tour of Koinonia, which is where we have our nature camp and summer program. They are seeking certification to be an after-school program. They really are, they have a new director for Camp Reimagine, which was in Deer Park, that has just joined Koinonia. They're making a play to host other camps. They also want to open the Koinonia grounds up to the community in a much larger and more meaningful way. They're inviting the cross-country team from the school to be able to run there. And they also are looking to appeal to outside municipal groups. So I thought it would be a really wonderful location and brought it to our Chamber of Commerce. So we potentially are reviewing that to host our winter warm-up at Camp Koinonia. They have a really beautiful conference center, and we're always open to new locations. So if any member of the public would like to tour Camp Koinonia, please email me or contact me, and I can put you in touch with the director, Kathleen Mooney. They're really entertaining all ideas and really want to open the doors to the community, and I can tell you it's a really beautiful property. The conference center was built in 1987. It's a really wonderful facility. It has 20 guest rooms. Welcome if you're just joining us. And so, yeah, anybody that would like a tour or would like to visit that facility, please let me know, and we can arrange that with the director, Kathleen Moon, Dr. Kathleen Moon. codes, Laura and Tom, you guys have an update?
The packets include updated buildings and codes reports, permits, all the activity that's happened in the last month. And we do have to have a next stage discussion on some of the outstanding violations. And I've identified some policies that we should consider creating with job assistance, including what's the tolerable amount of fines that can accrue after they've gone through the court process. We have to create a threshold. So if they're accruing a daily fine or a weekly fine and still not paying and not rectifying their violations, we have to cap it and then discuss next steps. We also should create a policy to talk about liens and taxes as an implementation for fixing some of these issues. And we have to discuss what the town would like to do when foreclosure takes place. There are unsafe structures which would require a public hearing after initial notice. So any of the unsafe structures we can move forward to consider for public hearing that are on the list that you've received at the last meeting, and I've been updating at every town board meeting. And there's some outstanding cases, which I know Tom is interested in focusing in. And Javed, I wasn't sure if you had an update for us. I had requested some information.
As far as the cases that I had previously presented, there was a handful that were subject to fines, and we need to figure out, as you said, where to cap or limit those fines and then how to collect on those. And some of the suggestions will be tax liens, which is typically the way you do it. And then you let the county handle collections on that part. There is really one outstanding case at this point, unless something new has come up since last month, of an individual who just continues to ask one more time. And I think at this point, we're gonna ask for legal response.
Yeah.
But I think the else has been either disposed of because the cases have missed this, disposed of because there have been fines assessed, or this one individual who will deal with it.
Okay. And those are cases where there's been no response to letters, they've ignored their calls, ignored appearance tickets, that kind of thing. We also, based on some differences between how the code tracking system IPS works in code office versus the town clerk's office. The clerk has updated the fines and all the ones that we voted and changed upon. And she's also alphabetized them, and she's going to share a sheet with you for reference in your office. So she's made the updates so that they both have the same information.
And can you give us an update on short-term rentals? What's going on there with our planning board secretary?
No.
Okay.
You have to ask for what you want, and aside from like
Just the general work
existing,
that she's doing.
no, I don't
So
have, I haven't talked to the code.
That's why I asked.
I haven't talked to the planning board
about
clerk.
Zoning and the planning. We
So
don't
I'll-
have we don't
So I'll
have,
give an update then. The planning board clerk has been going through our GIS system and labeling short-term rentals that are coming up for review. So she's trying to make a list, because everybody was issued all of the short-term rental permits last year when we implemented the program. And so a lot of these are coming to due. So it's a $500 yearly fee, which requires additional yearly fire inspections. And then the permit fee will also be an additional $500. So we have our planning board clerk going through all these programs and putting in extra hours to go through this. And now we have a representative from the Delaware River. Did you have something you wanted to add?
I did want to add something because I don't know how the code office works with the IPS with the planning board, but I got a number of checks on November 4th that were all dated October.
What, end of October?
October 9th, October 11th, October 13th. Right through, I could show you my report that I got from the planning board that then doesn't make my report for October
Because-
that I have to pay to, not that I have to pay, but the town clerk office pays to the supervisor. So my reports are not matching with planning, code. My numbers, eventually we make them jive, but I don't need to make them jive. I need them at that time.
Who passes the checks off to you? Who gives you the checks?
I wait for Helene
Mhm.
to give me the checks for the short-term rentals, which always came from code. And then I get the stuff from Mary. Mary doesn't do the short-term rental. Or
So for the public's information, Mary is the code clerk and Colleen is the planning and zoning board clerk.
I'll have a discussion with Colleen.
Yeah, I think we should have a discussion with Helene.
Yeah,
And I'd be more than happy to sit along just so we can come up with like some process or just read it all fairly. Okay, great, I'll arrange that for us.
Is it possible that she was overwhelmed because we just gave her an additional, she has additional hours now, right?
Yeah, she's going through all the short-term rentals and working on all the renewals, so I know
And
that
that may
that's.
be a possibility of why she went into those jobs. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, we'll just
I had
have
a
a
discussion with her a couple weeks ago about that.
Got it.
Okay.
but the short-term rentals, cause I'm not clarified on that. They have to come from the planning board?
The applications come in through the.
Short-term rentals go through my system, but then like other things that is site or I can't think of them right off the top of my head.
Like a
Goes to
permit,
the
right?
planning board, it goes right into their account.
Yeah. Oh, you mean like an escrow situation?
Nope,
A
the
permit,
bookkeeper gets the escrow.
got it, but you're talking about like a permit situation, like
Yeah.
if somebody came in for a
Yes.
permit, you automatically get that.
I get that from Mary.
Got it, okay, so we'll.
So that needs to be clarified a little bit so that the numbers jive at the end of the month.
The checks are coming to the phone department. Maybe you don't check every day, and we can.
Yep, which has always been the rule.
Would you prefer it weekly?
Yes,
So we don't have to do.
yes. I don't want it to be a month.
Got it, okay, thank you.
And I know it's a lot because they have to, apparently in the same system.
Can you just do checks for Mary?
Yeah, Helene can leave checks for Mary when they're working in the same office.
And then we get all of them Mary.
Otherwise.
Okay. Okay, anything further with the codes? Okay, emergency management, I don't have any updates to you, Tom,
No, not at this time.
okay? Grants, we've issued the request for proposal. Our senior center, we've identified like what the budgets are, we're looking to individuals to start to key that work. Thankfully, Councilperson Tom Migliorino has agreed to key the project at the senior center. So he'll be sort of like keying the work, it's mostly purchasing and installation, so we're gonna just go for the most inexpensive. And to make the senior center kitchen more commercially viable and upgrading it to a commercial kitchen. Assemblywoman Aileen Gunther awarded us a grant of $50,000 from the Office of Children and Families to upgrade the community center kitchen. So the hope is that we can accommodate extended food programs for children, families, and veterans and seniors, as well as making the space more appealing to rent out to the public too. So we're very excited about these upgrades and we're going to be getting those. We have a very full year in 2025 enacting all these grants. So thank you to everybody for your enthusiasm, and thank you to Councilperson Migliorino for keeping that part of the project.
Yeah, thank you.
Jim, do you have anything to add with?
Nobody sent me anything that's saying it's always been.
Yeah, we just renewed our insurance. There was a
That's all.
$6,000 increase across all of our municipal insurance policies. That's just standard market practice. Again, though, for the public, we work with a company called Limer, that's a nonprofit. It's designed for New York State municipalities, towns the size of ours, up to $10,000 or 10,000 in population are the target audience for Limer Insurance. It's a collective, it's a nonprofit. And, when we're in things, everything from like lawsuits to council coverage paid for by the insurance council, they try to work to vindicate municipalities. So, there's not a lot of settlements. They're very advantageous to work with for small towns. So we're very grateful to them. So the $6,000 across all of our policies with.
Also,
Pretty standard process.
collision, you jacked us up with collision on new trucks. Because there's a bond, there's a lien on it,
The bond has nothing to do with the increase in the insurance.
the hell it don't, you might think so, try it yourself.
Buildings, Laura or Tom, do you guys have any further updates?
We give a report on the maintenance that was performed on the buildings for the month of October and the beginning of November. Let's start with the town hall, the emergency building. Septic tank was pumped in the emergency building. We're on a schedule now for every 6 months, correct, Sue?
Correct.
Okay, thank you for setting that up, by the way.
You can thank my nephew.
That's it.
Yes, my office, yes,
Thank you.
we set that.
We'll be starting the bidding process for the mini splits for the town hall here. We had spoke about that earlier. So we have 4 contractors in line to provide pricing for the mini split units. We installed the smart board. Thank you, Laura. I believe, want to comment on where that came from?
Well, our smart board audio had not worked for many years. And we relied on the Epson projector onto a smart screen, which defeats having a smart screen. And so I started to pull some numbers together and asked Jed Jackie from the Eldred Central School District for advice on where to purchase. It came in at about $9,000. And then a few days later, he was decommissioning some really they were in great shape, smart boards, but they were no longer usable in the school under the contract. The school was getting a whole new set. And he agreed to donate this fully integrated smart board, which is really cool because if we hook it up to like a Roku service, we can stream and cast from phones and computers, allowing for presentations from the public. Any like other business proposals that come through, and it's fully working with audio. So we will be taking down the Epson and either trying to resell it or donate it as well, since that's no longer needed. And I still have to play with it a little. It's a lot. It's a big new system. So we actually have Jed Jackie to thank for finding that for us, and Tom as well for helping to install it. It was very heavy, heavier than I thought. So I think you, me, and Rob Robertson hoisted that thing and got it up there. So, yeah.
Yeah, it takes a
So
village.
will that also help with the hearing for the ADA?
Well, I haven't figured out how yet to do our Zooms on that system, but it does have better audio quality. And I'm looking into how to amplify the sound in this space. We've had a few complaints. We have a very intergenerational population with different needs. The audio system and the speaker system here is very old. And so as we head into the next year, we'll be looking to upgrade things like our microphones, which, sadly we lost one at the ceremony on Monday. It dropped and fell and broke. So we are going to integrate, I'm going to try to get Bluetooth microphones and amplify them through the smart board. So more to come with technology updates as we upgrade in town hall.
And for people who were at the floating commercial districts presentation, we're very sorry that was clunky. Will this smart board allow us
Yes.
to have better communications?
Yes.
If we're gonna be zooming or something of that nature?
Yes,
that'll-
you'll be able to present with our guests.
So we'll be like full-fledged Jetsons behind.
It'll be working. It'll be, 2021 technology.
Excellent,
Yeah,
that'd be great. And it was free, it was. a gift from
yes, like it was a
school?
gift. Yeah, donation.
That's great. So because, we went from our public hearing right into our town board meeting, we are skipping around a little bit on the agenda, so Joe, you missed a big kudos for all your help with the park updates and with the river access project, and I talked about the installation that's gonna happen Thursday and Friday with all the signs. We went through and marked that today with Doreen Warner and Deborah Conway. But did you have anything else on behalf of the highway department?
Excuse me, this is super.
Yes, sir.
I have to finish this report.
We're not done.
Sorry about that. There you go. Hold your horses. Tom's got more for you.
All right, let's get back to the maintenance. Community center, we had a call for no heat in the beginning of October. Pete had reached out to Sue because I couldn't get in touch with me, and her husband Hank came over and got the furnace on for the community center so they can have a seniors meeting. Thank you. Back that on, please. Repaired the women's room handicap toilet again. The highway department took care of that for us. Repaired the leaky drain in the sink. Kitchen sink, the highway department helped us out with that as well. Our courthouse, once again, no heat. Charlie Case is working on that now. I believe it's a thermostat. He should have that fixed by the end of the week, Patty. The bidding process for the architects, we had spoken about that, it's underway. And we go to our highway garage, we have the septic tank pump there, it's probably the first time since it was built. It's in pretty good shape, and we also had the wastewater tank pump, and that's a first as well. And our exterminator, he's doing a great job so far, it seems like everything's under control. Last thing is our cleaning person. Yes. Oh, absolutely.
He comes once a month.
Yes.
We need a little more, maybe twice a month here.
Is there an issue?
I cleaned out things. Here, Friday when we were here, it was
All right.
really bad.
Okay.
That's why I have those scented things and, no complaints anywhere else, but
There's a situation like that, call me right away. There's no reason you should have to do that. I'll have somebody take care of it. Okay? We have a new maintenance person, hopefully starting soon.
okay.
And
It was the first time, although they've been great, but it
Well, our
was
contract with
bad.
them is once a month, and if we
Right,
add,
okay,
it's gonna be more.
And it's very
expensive.
expensive.
Yeah, it's not like.
well then, yo.
All right. Just call me and we'll get it.
Let you come out.
Oh, thank you. And last thing to report on this night, cleaning person, Omar, I have nothing but good reports.
He's doing a great
Yeah.
Job, so.
You can smell the cleaning products when you walk. Oh, it smells very fresh and clean in here. Joe, the highway garage is, your bathrooms and kitchen are to your
Oh, yeah.
satisfaction, everything's been great.
Yes, warehouse.
Excellent. Good stuff. All right, can we hear from Joe? Joe, is there anything you'd like to report on behalf of the highway department?
I really don't have a lot. We did a little black topping on Mud Pond Road, patching on Clark Road, Salmon, Schumacher. We've been mainly winterizing the equipment. Truck repairs. Quite a few. The speed signs have been removed in Barryville. And maintenance of buildings, the air conditioners are out. That's what we've been doing. It was kind of long.
Thank you, thank you. I do want to bring up, just, Tom had a proposal for us in the buildings department. We also, need to discuss the floating commercial district this evening, but I wanted to wait for the public to filter in because I know these are hot button issues. Tom, did you want to start with your presentation, with the buildings department?
Yes, at this point, I don't have much to report on because I like to meet with the board, but I'll give you a little inside information. There's a building next door, it's 564 Route 55, it's for sale. We're entertaining, or we'd like to see what we could do with purchase it for the town. We can make it into a parking lot, we can make it into a park, we could future possible building, whatever. The pricings are being negotiated, but there's a couple of issues that I have to do some research on before I can actually report on it. So within the next week or so, I'll compile that information and then I'll reach out to the board and let's have a discussion about it and we'll bring it back to the public, hopefully for December.
Thank you. Thank you. Javed, could you just preface our conversation with the Fulton Commercial District pertaining to the hardware store proposal? Could you give the public and the board some information on that, please?
Absolutely. So the application came in under section 190.13 of the town code. There's a process for this floating commercial zone. In essence, what you're doing is you're considering a rezoning of that property in accordance with the processes and procedures under the code. The next step here is the board needs to make a determination as to whether or not the application has merit. And all that does is it allows the applicant to go through the formal rezoning process with the board. To get to the decision as to whether or not the application has merit, town board tonight can decide that it has the information it needs to make that, decision. They can decide, in which case you can decide if the application doesn't have merit or it doesn't. Or the board can decide you need some additional information before it can make a merit decision. If it requires additional information to make a merit decision, then we'll coordinate with the applicant. Ask for some additional information, whatever that additional information is, and then come up with a agreed upon time as to when you're gonna make your merit decision. If the board decides it does not need any further information and it's ready to proceed, it will then do so, and the considerations for that are, well, first of all, if you decide the application does not have merit, process ends and that's it, there's no more moving forward. But if the board does decide that the application warrants merit, and the way you make that decision is if you consider consistency with the goals of town code, consistency with the master plan, town comprehensive plan, consistency with, policy objectives of the town. And if you decide all of those things match up and you decide this application has some merit, then the next step for the applicant is to go through the formal floating commercial, rezoning process. That means the applicant has to submit a formalized sketch plan. There's a whole list of items that you could submit to the town board. The town board will then undertake its formal review, including SECRA, including a referral to the planning board for an advisory opinion, including a referral to the county for its advisory opinion. And then the town board will make a decision ultimately whether or not to rezone that lot. Once that rezoning is complete, applicant is certainly not done. It will then have to go to the planning board for site plan and special use permits. And then, go through that process. For the planning board to give you an advisory opinion in this process doesn't necessarily bound the planning board. It makes a different decision because it's two different criteria. It's looking at two different things. And same thing for this board. If you make a determination that the application has merit, and then you continue with the process, you're not bound to approve the application. You can certainly deny it later. But you do go through a formal process. It is relatively lengthy, a multi-month process, and it does require a public hearing and secret determinations and all that sort of stuff. So where you are at right now is to decide whether or not you have enough information to make a decision whether or not the application has merit, and I think that's probably a good point of discussion.
Got it. And just for the public's benefit, I have been going back and forth with Java. We are in our comprehensive planning, our 10-year comprehensive planning process. So we've been meeting with the comprehensive planning board. We've held 5 swatting sessions under the direction of Heather Jackson and Carol Roy. Carol Roy just recently retired from the Sullivan County Planning Commissioner's Office. Heather Jackson lives in town and is also a current personnel of the Sullivan County Planning Commissioner's Office. And she's been heading up our efforts. And we're rewriting the codes. We applied for a grant to work with the Compliance MRV group to rewrite our codes because it's time for a code update. It's been 10 years, over 10 years since we've we've done a full, soup to nuts sort of review of our comprehensive plan and our code process. So this would be something that we would definitely address. I can tell you that on our Association of Towns and the breakout sessions for the supervisors, these rural floating commercial districts are problematic. They involve a lot of legal entanglements. They're heavily not advised. But this project in particular, I think means a lot to the community, so I'd like to see it proceed and I'd like to see it, see where it goes, with getting more information. So I'd like to now open it up to the board's discussion for any other comments from board members pertaining to this rural floating commercial district application.
I'm for it, but I'd like to see an engineered site plan.
Yeah, and so that would be within the purview of, even if we say, okay, the application has merit, the next step would be an engineered site plan and site plan sort of presentation by the applicant, correct?
Correct, yeah, so I would say it would be a little unfair to have the applicant submit an engineered site plan to make a decision on the merits.
Correct.
Versus once you make the decision on the merits, the code already requires an engineered site plan.
Got
Those things are expensive, time consuming to do, right? And so, while I think you could certainly ask for it, there's nothing prohibiting the town board saying, yeah, I want an engineered site plan. That's already required in the next step. And I just want to consider whether it's fair to the applicant to spend that money, just again, get balanced on the fact that it might not have merit in the application. So if there's other details you may want to see, that's, that's certainly.
Councilperson Burrell, did you have something to question?
I think the plan has merit. The planning board process is very thorough. Having sat on that board, it's a lot to submit an application of this size and scope. So I know we're going to get a lot of information from the applicant through that process, including an engineered site plan. I would request that a full understanding of phases of the project is a requirement I'd like to see, because if they submit a application for a hardware store and then in a year plan to add on, because it's a 10-acre lot, I want to see like how the 10 acres will be used all at once, not a phase 1, phase 2 type of deal, and a consideration of the acreage, environmental, how many trees are going to be cut down, and parking and traffic considerations for turning off of 55.
Got it.
So is that something you want to see before you make a decision?
Yeah.
on merits? Okay, so.
Those are my requests, yeah.
Those would be the questions you want, I want answered before you make a decision as to whether, okay, clear.
Yeah,
What about
the
you,
coun- The county's gonna
I'll have to-
jump in on the, because it's county road.
239, yeah.
And everything else.
Yeah,
But are you saying that before you determine whether the project has merit, you'd like some of?
I
those
started
initial
off saying this project has merit.
Oh, good. I've got it. Okay, perfect. Okay.
How about you, Jim?
Yeah, those answers can be questioned, without him spending any money.
Yeah.
I wanna just see the site, that's all.
Yeah,
Got it. So with that, do I have a motion to determine the project has merit and we can advance it to the next step?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Any abstentions? So moved. I will notify Mr. McCarthy that we can advance to the next step in the phase of the rural floating commercial district process. Thank you. Backtracking, covered pretty much everything. Okay, for under beautification, we did have to request an extension on our wayfinding signs project. We had a really wonderful alumni of Eldred Central School reach out, Kelly Lee, as she's known now. Her family are builders in the area, and she reached out to offer sign design. We started working with her on the Marion O'Neill Culture Club Labor Day event at Sand Beach. She designed this beautiful poster. We thought her design work was exemplary. We referred her to the sign committee group, which has always been comprised of Doreen Warner. She's like the chief sign designer for the county, and we have the chamber and a lot of municipalities within Sullivan County. And so between her and the fabricator of our signs, Nicole Camacho from Fine Hand Signs, and Kelly, they've been designing a really wonderful sign package for the town at large. So in this process, they've developed a new town
Seal.
crest, I guess.
Seal?
Is a town seal. And they've also come up with a sort of like sign vocabulary or full suite package for each one of the hamlets, which is pretty exciting. And so our sign progress and plan at large is encompassing, rural, hamlet identification of different motifs for each one of the hamlets to have that all play off of the Berryville sign. The Berryville sign was placed in 2008 as part of a plans and progress grant. So we're trying to take a page from that and have each hamlet have its own identity and own vocabulary. So we're going to be looking for additional funds to replace all the signs or to complement all the signs. But for now, Councilperson Burrell got 2 of the wayfinding signs on 55 and one coming in on 97 between Lumberland and Highland approved. We've gone back to Sullivan 180 to potentially ask if there's more signage grants available. So we're waiting to hear back on that. And then we've also applied for an extension. We don't really want the wear and tear of winter to go in. So we're gonna hopefully wait to install those signs in the spring. But the design package is looking really great and it's very exciting. We'll have a new seal for our town. And then each hamlet will have its own sign identity too. So we have 3 really talented designers involved in the project. So we're very lucky and very excited.
Then change my town seal.
It will. And it's very exciting.
Will I have say in that?
Well, I think that they're gonna present a couple different
Yes.
packages to the community. So they've been doing a lot of research with the town historian to kind of come up with like indigenous plants to the area. We really want to be representative of all of the hamlets and all the, vegetation, all the things that make our area great. We're trying to incorporate. So they're going to do a lot of research and then present some options to the community at large. So no, Sue answered your question. I guess the short answer is no, you will not be the decider of the town seal.
No, I'm
I'm
not doing that. That's not what I'm saying.
You'll get to see versions and, yeah.
Yeah.
But also the request for the extension was to also consider the labor that goes into the installation process. And so because the Silver Feather grant needs to be finished first, we're a year behind. That requires digging into the ground and installing signs along the river. That's a priority. We have to finish that, complete that process. And so we've just asked to wait till after the frost to install the 97 and 55 signs. So the extension impetus is, to make sure that we're finishing one program and then before we finish another project.
And very excitingly too, because it was determined by the Eagle Institute, which is under the Delaware Highlands Conservancy, that we didn't need a separate eagle observation view shed booth, because the eagle observation or the eagle population at large is soaring in our community right now, and we no longer need to be quiet to observe the eagles. Just today when we were marking the signs, we saw 4 eagles all around, and they were showing off for us and doing all kinds of figures and everything. We have extra money available, so we've talked about installing a glass covered and locked bulletin board, but that'll be for town notices specifically, and then we'll still allow people to post on the town boards. But we've also put in a request with Sullivan 180 to see which direction they'd like us to go in, if we want to accommodate more seating along the river access projects, or what they sort of would like to see happen with the rest of the balance of the money. We are working with the Park Service to reinstall some signage at the Highland Access Project as well. So we may put some money towards that, but we've kind of given them 3 different options to say which direction would you like to see us go in. So that's pretty exciting. But the group that we're looking to the bulletin boards with is another resident, Don Tiger. We also dedicated ARPA funds for new office furniture based on the COVID ARPA funds package. We had to spend that down by the end of the year. And so that's part of that bigger equipment and furniture package. And we'd like to pay a resident and support their business if possible. So we'd like to see that happen with the Renaissance money as well. But I also put in the inquiry that we could look to see if there's other signs that could be replaced with that as well. I also want to circle back under the buildings department. We've been going back and forth with some bills that have come in the verge over the course of the year. We have a lot of outstanding bills, somewhere in the neighborhood of 20. Do you have that paperwork with you? 17. I believe it's 26.
This bill?
Yeah, you can. Thank you. No, that's just a portion. That's just for the planning.
Oh, I got it.
You got it? We have approximately. So the total open balance from 2023 is $25,631.83. Which includes $12,500 for a tap grant application that was denied. There was no budget left in planning or in grant application services on behalf of the 2023 budget. This project was put through and it was billed out and denied through the DOT at a cost of $12,500. Additionally, this current board, specifically the buildings department in the codes department, has determined a lot of the billing to be not completely satisfactory with how we'd like to work moving forward. They've billed things that we didn't collect escrow on. They've also billed for projects that were already open and functioning, and then they issued bills 4 months, 5 months after said buildings or projects had opened. They also charge exorbitant amounts to file, like our general ARPA use of funds to the tune of $710 for a 10-minute phone call. There's just a lot of very expensive charges that had occurred in working with LaBerge. That was my only experience with them, was to determine the ARPA funds usage, which was $710.64. So that being said, we had this pretty exorbitant open balance that we didn't feel was right to pass on to taxpayers with applications. I basically went to them and said, you know, we're not interested in working with your company if we're not able to take another look at these bills. So what they've extended to us is to give us a 20% reduction on all of the bills. That would bring our balance to $20,505.46. That would be a discount of $5,126.36. The only business that we have with them moving forward is to designate our ARPA funds. You know, we work with MRB Group now for our comprehensive plan and our code rewrite. So I don't know if we're going to be continuing with LaBerge moving forward, but I would like to take advantage of that. They've given us to the end of the month to make this determination because the previous town board did set aside a lot of money that's been collecting interest. I'm proposing that we pay the open bill from 2023 of $20,506.46 with our New York Class account savings and interest earnings. We currently have $3.23 million in said account. I think it would be the best use of funds, and technically the previous town board did earn that interest in those payments and set aside those funds. And I would like to take advantage of the 5,000 plus discount. Do I have a motion to pay the 2023 bills out of the New York Class interest account?
I'd like to know what the attorney.
Would you like to
has
open
say
for
in that.
discussion?
Yeah, I'd like
Okay.
to ask the attorney, what do you think we should do about that bill?
About the bill being presented right now,
Yeah,
you have to make a determination as to whether or not you authorize the charges. And whether or not the charges were, you know, reasonable, or at least what was proposed to you. And you find that those charges are consistent with what was agreed upon to pay. Then, you know, like getting a discount on that, I think seems like a good idea. If you believe there's some sort of dispute in why the town isn't obligated to pay this bill, then you should consider other options, including contesting the bill further. or litigating it. But again, it really depends on, and again, I wasn't there at the board, but whether or not they were properly retained and whether or not the work that was done was authorized by the board.
The clarity that I got from the different project managers, I've spoken to 2 out of the 3 project managers, was that they were getting calls from the supervisor, from the planning board chair, and from the attorney for advice on the bills. They would have liked it streamlined so that it was only coming from the attorney.
Yeah.
But that's what they sort of was reading that, and I shared that email with the buildings and codes department, where they said it was coming from all 3 sources. They've also made the determination, like one of the not to get into the individual identification of each one of the projects, but they've sort of labeled it here. One of the projects that they didn't collect any funds to go towards legal fees, so there was no usage, so that would be an automatic town cost. We do have to check the balance of one of the projects that's been abandoned, but they still have an escrow account with us, and that's $5,000 of the bill. The conversion of a mixed-use commercial building to be used as a retail space, their project was open for 4 months and then they retroactively billed $2,800. So that seems kind of something that we can't really go back and ask the taxpayer for. And then one of them is in litigation right now, and that's at a cost of $1,707.43. And then the bulk of it, again, is that TAP grant application, which wasn't approved. So we
Was the work to apply for it approved?
Yeah,
In other
Laura,
words, was the board authorized to undertake that work?
Councilperson Burrell and I met with the engineer who worked on the project in Albany when we went to the Association of Towns training. He wasn't in favor of the project, but it was definitely the goal of the previous town board to push the project through. So we were charged extended fees for expediting the project, pushing it through,
I'm just
trying
gonna,
to get points of completion.
I'm just gonna answer Java's question.
Yeah.
The former board requested the application, they were under deadline, they submitted it, they did the work for the RFP. And it was voted on in prior board meetings.
Yeah, so I mean, all the work that they completed seemed like it was justified. And then one's still in litigation, so we could potentially recoup $1,720.56. And then one of them is it's in litigation, and the other one is, I think it seems pretty just.
It's
So,
challenging because you can't go back and ask for escrow
Yeah.
in years past, from an applicant after a project's completely finished. I think the negotiation down is a really good asset, and I thank you for doing that. I know it's tough to dig in. I'd be open to paying the bill.
Yeah, the only question I have for Java, so when we're in an escrow situation with a planning board, right? So if I'm putting in an application to open a retail space, and my escrow is determined to be $3,000, right? And if the attorney for the town then moves forward with said consulting agency, and we exceed that $3,000, is it our position from the town to then go back to the said applicant and say, hey, we're gonna need $2,000 more because we weren't able to determine this? Or do you just exceed it and then retroactively bill?
No, the right way to do it is when the application comes in, one of the things the applicant has to complete before the application is deemed complete for review purposes is enter into an escrow agreement with the reviewing board. And that escrow agreement will lay out the obligations of the applicant and the obligations of the town. The obligations of the applicant would be is to fund an escrow account and maintain that escrow account when it comes to a certain, depleted amount. The obligations of the town would be is to provide timely invoices and an opportunity to challenge those invoices. Oftentimes that second part doesn't get done. And it should, and the best way to do that is just have an escrow agreement for each project, and it's the same form as the agreement the town would use, and it's just so everyone knows what the rights and obligations are. And under that scenario, if it's $3,000, you set a threshold limit of $1,000, and when the escrow comes down to $1,000, they have to replenish it back up to 3 or whatever the number is. But concurrent with that is the monthly invoices that are being generated by the engineers, the attorneys, or whatever, need to also be shared with the applicant, and the applicant needs to have an opportunity to review and say, hey, we think this is unreasonable for this reason. And they can, there's gonna be a little review process for that, but that's how
So
you
they can
do it.
consult with their attorneys and require more fees for the person.
Bingo, right, yeah. For example, something will happen where you'll have a planning board application and somebody from the public might foil the planning board for that project. And sometimes the costs for review and whatever, especially if an attorney is involved, to produce that foil will then get put on, be charged to the escrow. Something like that would be improper, right? That's not necessary for the review of the application. And that's where the cases where the applicant would say, we don't think these charges should be charged against us, that's a town charge,
Got it.
right?
Well, with all that being said and taken into consideration, do I have a motion to pay the settlement for, $20,505.46?
I wasn't here, so I'm.
I'll make that motion.
Do I have a second?
Second, but I'm not happy.
I'm not happy about it either, but the bill has to be paid, and I feel like this is a once in a lifetime $5,000 discount. On the goodness of these consultants and agencies,
Well, and
parts that we should maybe.
we were accruing monthly charges for not paying.
Okay, all in favor, all opposed,
Me,
or we abstaining or you're opposed?
yeah.
Okay. Okay, so moved, thank you. Yep, so
Is this the one?
yes, yep. I forwarded it. It's the one.
Later today.
Yeah, got it. Anybody on behalf of 9/11 Heroes Park here? I do want to thank Commander Pete Carmici for a really wonderful Veterans Day ceremony. It was very well attended, singing only, and thank you to all the veterans for your service. It was a really beautiful showing and appreciation. So thank you guys for that. I would like to make a motion I'd like to see if I have a motion to break into executive session for the purposes of personnel hiring and current and potential litigation.
Do you want an ABC report before you go into the session?
Sure, yeah, I'd like to include that.
Okay. Okay, be short, I thought.
I-
So, there were just two important issues that came up at the last meeting. At Millville, that we're in a drought right now, and the DRBC declared water emergency and possible drought watch or warning in certain areas. The reservoir levels are dangerously low, putting the New York City's water in risk of the rationing. There's going to be a public meeting to discuss this. You're welcome to attend on November 19th. Just check their website, the DRB website, to attend the Zoom meeting on November 19th. Burn bans have been declared in PA, NY, and NJ, and brush and wildfires are expected into December due to this drought. The second one is PennDOT has announced that Skinner's Falls Bridge will be dismantled beginning as soon as December 1st. It's unlikely they really get going that quickly, but there is a virtual meeting on November 18th, and you can check that information on the PennDOT site.
Can I stop you for a second?
Yeah,
When you say dismantle, does that mean they're gonna do a full replacement of the bridge? They're not gonna try to?
that's still to be determined through discussion. They're going to keep the parts that they're dismantling for possible reconstruction, but it hasn't been determined how that will happen. The bridge was seen to be unsafe after reports of falling debris to the river. And finally, I just want to mention that tomorrow is the second workshop on the applicant for the Pimco Chemical Project. The UDC and NPS comments on DEIS will be discussed. That workshop is between 6 and 7:30, with a public hearing possibly scheduled for December.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you, Christine. Okay, thank you. With that, do I have a motion to go for executive session for the purposes of personnel hiring and current and potential litigation? Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, please enjoy refreshments and the culture club, and we're gonna break it. Great, do I have a motion to reconvene out of executive session?
I'll make that motion.
Do I have a second? Okay. So moved, okay, so, in returning from executive session, we had the opportunity to discuss the applications for our new planning board alternate. The personnel committee, submitted, a referral of Andrew Valenti as our new planning board alternate, and, I'd like to, see if I have a motion to instate, Mr. Valenti as our new planning board alternate. I have that motion.
I'll make that motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Any abstentions? So moved. Thank you, Andrew.
Thank you, Brian.
At your earliest convenience, if you could be sworn in by Sue, and sign the oath, that would be wonderful.
If we could do it Thursday,
I can look at that.
okay,
What time Thursday?
I'm here at 8 o'clock.
Okay, so I'll come in the morning? Thursday?
Yes,
Okay.
I'm not here tomorrow, but
Fine.
rather than bringing all my books out and all that, if we could do it Thursday, that would be great.
There is a
Will I be-
workshop.
Will I be informed when the planning board meets and what the schedule is?
Yes, if you wanted to get a head start, I know that the planning board is meeting tomorrow. If you wanted to attend, before being sworn in, just to sort of be here, I think that they don't have a second alternate right now, but we do have a first alternate, so I don't think you'll be called upon, but if you.
And
Once
maybe
you-
we'll do
he
it
can't be.
tonight after this meeting
That
in my
might
office.
be who was.
Yeah,
Let's
I would do that, and then you can go to the workshop.
It's a safeguard, I think.
Yeah.
do that.
Thank you, Andrew. Appreciate it, and welcome back to town politics.
I hope to be able to serve you well.
I'm sure you will. Thank you very much. We also discussed, personnel for buildings. We had 3 applications. And we would like to offer the position to Iantha Hernandez. Do I have a motion to offer the position of building maintenance to Iantha Hernandez?
Make that motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? So moved.
Can you give me a,
Ms. Donahue,
please?
IANTHA, and then Hernandez. In terms of litigation, that'll be disclosed at a later date.
Just that we talked about.
Yeah, we just discussed,
No action was taken.
Pardon?
No action was taken.
If no actions were taken, in the discussions of our litigation, so you an information session on that. Okay, thank you again for your patience. Thank you to Mary Ann for the delicious chocolate chip squares that I got to eat for the very first time. Okay,
Budgetary transfer.
resolution, the town of Highland at the town board meeting on November 2024, introduced and passed the following resolution. Whereas modifications are required to the 2024 general budget, now therefore be resolved that the following budgetary transfers may be made to the general budget. From A 960 appropriations, A 1420 .2, attorney in litigation, in the amount of $394.65. To A 960 appropriations, A 1670.4 central mailing and printing in the amount of $189.77. And A 1680.4 data processing for $204.88. It's a total of $394.65. Do I have that motion?
Make that motion.
As second, thank you, Tom. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Any abstentions? So moved. Do I have a motion to pay highway abstracts number 10-2024, Cannons 142 through 129 in the amount of $26,762.04. Do I have a motion? Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? So moved. Do I have a motion to pay general abstract 10-2024 claims 263 to 295 in the amount of $132,222 do I have a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Do I have a second?
I'll make that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
So moved. Do I have a motion to pay Eldridge Heat Lights abstract 10-2024 claim 10 in the amount of $126.97? Do I have a motion?
I'll make that
Do I
motion.
have a second?
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
So moved.
Make the motion.
Do I have a motion to pay Silver Feather Grant abstract 10-2024 claims 8 to 10 in the amount of $6,846.36?
Motion.
Second?
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
So moved, thank you. Now do we have any public comment? Maya?
Great, so hi, I'm Maya Rostam, I'm the Delaware Riverkeeper, leader of the Delaware Riverkeeper Network, and also have property here with my husband in the town of Hudson, so I'm wearing both hats. I understand that you already read the letter that I submitted earlier. I don't know if you read the whole thing or just commented.
We just read the front page, she's on Res 11, the front page.
Okay, so just really, quick and in quick summary, for folks. Last month, I submitted a petition asking for a moratorium on all new development and or expanding development in the Waldron Scenic River corridor. In order to prevent, the corridor from being permanently impacted while the town was undergoing its update of its comprehensive plan, as well as the update of ordinances associated with the update of the comprehensive plan. And in fact, you talked about that earlier this evening, that this is an ongoing process. Well, we think that it is very, very important that a moratorium go in place so that new development projects, expanding development projects are not allowed to move forward or are not approved and allowed to move forward before all of that planning, all of that work is done, because we could entirely undermine and unravel the new comprehensive plan that the residents of the town of Highland are putting together right now, today. In the letter, we reference Camp Finfo as a good example of why this is so important. Camp Finfo recently submitted a letter in response to questions from the Planning Board and the National Park Service, and repeatedly relies upon the existing comprehensive plan as the rationale for why they should be allowed to do what it is they want to do down along the river, in the river corridor. In fact, this is a massive project that's going to inflict irreparable harm and have dramatic changes for the town of Highland and for our river corridor. So the fact that Camp Finfo is relying on the comprehensive plan as the justification for this project makes no rational sense in terms of approving it to move forward, when we know that right now today, the town of Highland is updating its comprehensive plan to carry forth a renewed vision for the town. In addition, as you commented earlier, right, the ordinances are already being updated to come into compliance with the comprehensive plan, or when that comprehensive plan process is done, ordinances are going to have to be updated in order to properly implement that comprehensive plan. Camp Finfo is relying on existing ordinances as a justification for their project right now today, but these are ordinances that might change within the coming months. And finally, when we look at the Camp Finfo project, we see how Camp Finfo is highlighting differences of opinion in how the ordinances of the town of Highland should be read and should be implemented, how they should be interpreted legally and how they should be implemented. And so we would like to see, in our petition, we ask that we have the moratorium put in place so that the town of Highland can look at those ordinances where we can see that there are differing interpretations with major implications for the outcome of the decision-making process, and that you can look at those ordinances and put in place the necessary clarity to remove those discrepancies, to remove those differences of opinion. So it's actually the town of Highland that is dictating how those ordinances are interpreted and applied, not some applicant that has some high-priced attorney and lobbyists that somehow put forth for you a different plan. So we think this moratorium is really powerful. We think it's important. I appreciate your, copying the letter and making it available. I had made copies to bring this evening as well. Unfortunately, my staff, neglected to also attach an updated version of the petition. The only update is that we're starting to hear from organizations like Catskill Mountain Keeper wanting to sign on to the moratorium request as well. So I did bring 10 copies of the updated moratorium. It's being emailed in with these organizations.
I did
as they
receive
sign
it from
on.
Skylar and
Oh, good.
I will have that available to the public.
Thank you.
And
Yes.
we also discussed digitizing, so if you have it in digital form, so they can put it up as a PDF on the website, we'll handle it the same way we do comments and letters to the planning board, so we'll handle it the same direction.
Beautiful. So it sounds like both of those have already been emailed in as PDF. So one, I want to highlight this for everybody. I want to bring this back to your attention, but I also want to ask you, right? Like this Camp Finfo project, this proposal, Northgate Resorts is working very, very hard to push this through as fast as possible. They certainly don't want to see this moratorium in place. They want to, have their project move forward. So I want to ask you, how do we get the board to consider this petition? We would like you to request public comment at the very least, right? So you're hearing from the public. If you're not going to formally request public comment, the Delaware Riverkeeper Network is going to recommend that the public comment to you regardless, because we feel like you should hear from the public. But also, I think it's really important that you commit to a time when you are going to actually consider this petition, discuss this petition, and take some action on the petition. Because the residents of the town of Highland deserve that. Originally in the letter, we talk about having public comment, being requested immediately, and you taking action no later than the January meeting. But in light of how quickly Northgate Resorts is trying to push the Camp Finfo project right now, I'm worried that it's going to come too late. So I don't know if you can act any faster, but if you can act at your December meeting, I would request that you do. So thank you.
Thank you, Maya. Any further public comment? Yes.
Yeah, I'm Glenn Pontier. I just want to play off of what Maya said. I'm a neighbor of the Finfo project. I live right when the campgrounds are going on a good holiday, I can hear the bass drum and smell the smoke from the fires. And I love it. I love having the campgrounds and these people coming up to use the river. So I'm not opposed to the campgrounds. But I do have questions about Finfo changing what is a campground, which I support, into this other thing, which I don't support. So the idea of a moratorium that gives everyone an opportunity. Again, I'm a neighbor, I live there, I'm not opposed to the campgrounds. I like Trinity, I like Landers and Indian Head and all the rest, but I don't think that making it into a resort along the river is going to protect the river. So I support the idea of a moratorium while, this is decided again by those of us that live here. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, Mel.
Mel Carney, Highland Lake. I would like to remind the supervisor once again that making public false defamatory statements in a town meeting puts the town at risk for justifiable litigation. BJ Gettle is not under investigation unless the state has notified you before they notified her. You have maintained that the reason there has not been an ad placed to attract a qualified code enforcer is that the position requires a certain specific skill set. Surely you would agree that the same is true for an architect. Yet you placed an ad for an architect for the courthouse renovation, a renovation that was never voted on by the board. You also consistently combine that renovation with the return of the constabulary. The grant you received is for fixed asset repairs and cannot be used for anything else. Please stop gaslighting the public. The date of the last budget workshop was changed and there was no public notification. I understood that you're still maintaining the $85,800 bond payment for the highway equipment does not need to be included in the budget, and you were seeking advice from the Association of Towns. However, the $70,000 bond payment for the town shed is included in the budget. I was confused as to why you wouldn't ask the certified public accountant, so I did. Their response, the payment needs to be shown in the budget as an expenditure, regardless of how you plan to make the payment. Additionally, the Office of the State Comptroller, Division of Local Government responded this way. Bond principal and interest payments should be included as part of the town's budget, as they represent a significant financial obligation that needs to be accounted for when planning and managing finances. You put the town in debt unnecessarily, and now you're trying to walk away from the result. I'm very disappointed that Councilman Migliorino and Councilperson Burrell, with this information, approved the budget. Thank you.
Is there any further public comment? Yes.
I just want to echo what Maya and the other gentleman was talking about. Why did we go through this whole comprehensive plan process if now everybody's lining up at the side door to get in and try to beat us on something, okay? Projects that have merit don't have to do that. And I think FinPo is running this through because they're figuring out they don't have the support. And if you let them do it, or you let the hardware store do it with this floating commercial zone, it's not the first person you gotta worry about. It is, but it's the second and the third guy who aren't necessarily good actors. And we don't need to be turning over Route 55 and making it a commercial strip for people like that. So we need a moratorium until we figure out what our rules are gonna be, and then we can go out to any developer and say, this is how it works. And then we don't have this, 2.5 year process, which is the fault of the FinPo people, not us, but it's crazy the way it's set up, and we can't be letting these people in if we know we're gonna change something. It just doesn't make sense.
Thank you. Is there
I'm
any
sorry,
further?
can I just get your name for the public?
Joseph.
Oh, yeah, I'm Joseph Crest, 793, 55.
Any other further public comment? Okay, it is now 8:16. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make that motion.
Do I have a second? All in favor?
Hi.
Thank you so much, everybody, for attending.